Welcome back to the show. It is National Animal Health Week this week, and we have two special guests joining us today. You'll probably ignore the two humans because we have a beautiful dog joining us here on the show, which always happens. Dr. Bernard Pukay joining us. Welcome. Great to have you here.
Good to be back here.
It's wonderful to have you back. And who do you have here with you? Who's your guest?
Atticus, just as you've noticed, a bundle of energy, 13, 14 months old.
Okay.
And behaves like 90% of the time, behaves really beautifully.
Really?
Yeah. The other 10% we may get to see and enjoy, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got a treat from either myself or Atticus.
Well, that's only if you're good.
Yeah,
we'll see how the interview goes, Dr. Pukay.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the importance of this week. Why is having an Animal Health Week so important?
Well, the Canadian Veterinary Medical Association started Animal Health Week about 35 years ago to promote an awareness of veterinary medicine. You know, in those days, it wasn't necessarily a given that animals were properly taken care of and this and that. And so they started this Awareness Week, Animal Health Week. And for example, this year, the topic is habitat protection and pandemic prevention.
Right.
That's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You know? And so last year, for example, it was One Health, meaning in society, we've always separated human health from animal health, from the environment. And the different associations in the world started saying we need to communicate between those areas. So doctors need to listen to veterinarians need to listen to human doctors, and we need to pay attention to the environment. So this year, they decided that maybe we should have that pandemic prevention in light of COVID-19 and all that. And kind of emphasize the fact that the habitat is critically important, especially if you want to prevent pandemics.
Yeah, and animal health too, obviously always a key topic each and every year, and you know, regardless of the theme, this is the focus for us when it comes to pets. And do you think it's changed? I mean, as you said, you know, you've been doing this for a long time. Has it changed the way that we look towards our pets and towards even wildlife? Yeah, a great deal.
Two good questions. Part one is yes. In the old days, there were a pet was an economic entity.
Right.
You know, you guarded the farm, etc. You herded the cattle, and then there was a dramatic change. Probably the day that Bambi's mom got shot, and we started crying because of a cartoon character passing away, and it's called anthropomorphization of animals. We give them human qualities. Long story short is that, or short story long, whichever one you want to do, is that we now realize that there's a human-animal bond. And that's important. And we want to maintain that human-animal bond.
How do we do that?
Well, things like for Atticus, what the parents do is they make sure vaccinations are up to date, that they're dewormed and treated for flea prevention. And when you mention all those things, you realize that affects our health too.
Right.
Because there's a lot of diseases that we get from animals and vice versa. So interesting, for example, interesting fun fact is the fact that pandemics, by and large, the majority of pandemics originate from animals being passed on to humans.
Right.
So if we say we want to make sure we take care of the habitat and we want to have pandemic prevention, it starts with taking care of your farm animals, taking care of your pets, making sure that you treat them for ticks, for fleas. A good example, ticks. You know, if your pet gets ticks and passes it on to us, we become sick with Lyme disease.
Yes, of course.
So there's a good example of why we need to take care of those different areas.
And the benefits of having a pet, you know, you mentioned the pandemic. We saw a lot of people getting pets during the pandemic, right? I mean, we're more isolated. Let's talk about the benefits of a pet when it comes to your mental health. I mean, there's so many of them.
Well, I hear it again and again and again about people saying, you know, if it wasn't for me getting a pet or having a pet, I don't know if I would have survived the pandemic, because we're locked in our houses, and who's crazy enough to put up with us 24/7?
Yeah.
They are.
Absolutely.
So thank God for that.
And I think there's benefits too for our physical health, right? Because when you have a pet, you have a great responsibility to make sure that that pet gets exercise, and it's a great deal of motivation, right, for the entire family.
Yeah, if you don't believe it, just try to wait. I stay asleep in the morning when you get this wet lick.
I know where you're getting. I know where you're getting. I know. I have two dogs, and my one dog who's turning 15, actually just turned 15 years old, my Jack Russell. He's our alarm clock, right? Every morning, same time. Never have to set the alarm.
You have kids?
We do, two kids.
Those kids were brought up for the last 15 years with that dog.
Yeah.
How important is that dog to their lives?
Absolutely.
And how they perceive animals. And so, you know, Animal Health Week this year says, look, it's not just about climate change and prevention. It's all intertwined. It's all together, almost like the word is unity. We're bringing those together. The environment is important because it affects human health. Human health is important because it can affect animals. Animal health is important because it can affect, you know, they're all interrelated.
Absolutely.
And the sooner the world wakes up and realizes that that's what we need to do, it's a long way off, but it starts with small steps.
Well, and I think, you know, something, if you look at trying to find a positive that came out of the pandemic is perhaps a greater respect for the outdoors, a greater respect for nature, a greater respect for wildlife. How many people, I don't know in your neighborhood, but I've seen it in my neighborhood, put up bird feeders, for instance. Things like that, right? I mean, I think there are ways where we can connect much better to our greener surroundings.
Somebody's sitting on my foot.
That's not a bad thing. Let's get back to caring for our animals again. You know, for people that have pets, I'd just like you to, you know, sort of really speak on the importance of seeing your veterinarian. How often should you be seeing your veterinarian?
When we talk about getting information about Animal Health Week, you know, there's a website that people can go to called CanadianVeterinarians.net. But a really good source is your veterinarian. If you think you might have Lyme disease or you think you might have picked up something from your dog, contact the veterinary team, you know, and that's important to making sure that they stay healthy and that the environment stays healthy, and we need more cooperation between those disciplines.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And what a, I mean, well-behaved dog, as you said, 90% of the time we got the 90%. This is
I think the key
fantastic.
is sitting on my foot. I think that was
it certainly could be. Thanks for coming
Derek,
today.
As usual, thank you for asking some very, very good questions.
Oh, my pleasure. It's always a pleasure having you. Don't go away. Lots more daytime coming up right after this.